This conference will now be recorded.
Hi, can you hear me? Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Bunny. This is Ajay here. Can you hear me?
Yes, Ajay, I can hear you.
Okay, good. So, yeah, these guys have briefed me on your thing. So, mm, just before starting our session, may I know your experience and what is that you're looking at?
So, I've how many years? Many years. 12. I have 15 years of experience, and
Okay.
I've played several roles as a PM, as a business analyst, as a QA manager, as a network specialist in different companies based on the requirements and the necessities. Because I usually opt for playing different roles, so I am up to date and in touch with different roles which are important as part of the project.
Okay.
um, so my idea is to pursue as a scrum master next.
Mm-hmm.
So I have worked as a project manager for a short period of time,
Okay.
and some of the projects which I support as a non project management role, those
Mm-hmm.
projects are all, some of them are scrum. So
Okay.
I do sit in there, check in scrum meetings and some of the scrum related meetings, but I don't have a complete picture or more of the
Okay.
theory and all the end to ends which I need in order to complete the PSM certification.
Okay.
So instead of me going through all that material which is time consuming, I want support from a trainer who will train me both from a theory point of view and also giving me real time scenarios which will help me visualize and connect better, so I
Mm-hmm.
understand the concept better, and also I can use those points for discussion in any future interviews or anything.
Awesome.
That one and
Yeah.
um, I think that's all. Because when I was talking to the previous trainer, I told her that along with the theory, I would like to hear more from a real-time scenarios point of view, so I can connect better.
Okay. Good. Just give me a minute. I'm connecting the laptop to the charger. Just give me a minute.
Sure. Ajay?
So, yeah, you have
Um,
already undergone some training.
Sorry?
You have already undergone some training or
No,
some class.
I just started with one session where the trainer gave me an overview of the this curriculum, the content of the this training, and also they gave me some high level, just the basic project management, SDLC, different methodologies, very high level. So we didn't even pretty much we didn't even get started, but I had only one class. So
Okay.
that's why I was mentioning the trainer, because I had a similar discussion with my previous trainer where I set the expectations. I mean, the common expectation between the trainer and the student, where what I am looking forward to learn, so that the
Okay.
trainer can gear the training towards that approach.
All right.
Um, Ajay, can I know something about your work experience and your background?
Yeah. So I have more than 12 years of experience, predominantly now into the agile coaching and training. So I'm certified from PSN. I'm certified an agile leadership from Scrum.org, and I have certifications from SAFE. I have been certified DevOps implementation at the organization level as well, and then I'm also certified. So when it comes to the predominant experience, right, it is mainly into the agile coaching and DevOps consulting. That's what I do.
Hmm.
Right.
That's good.
So
That's good. I did attend a couple of sessions from, because in our the workplace, in my workplace, they're trying to adapt to the agile methodology. So that's where it is not like an agile, it's more like a transitional agile, where work is pretty much done in smaller increments. But there were no burn down charts or no reporting or nothing as such, no fancy reports as such, but they were just trying to accomplish the work in smaller increments and just getting into that agile transition mode. So when I say my projects are, aware in agile methodology, but it's not a perfect agile.
Got it. I completely understand what you're saying. I mean, it's in a transitional phase.
Yes, transitional, where everybody's exploring, everybody's learning, everybody's trying to bring in something to the table. So you an agile coach? So you're certified an agile coach?
Yes.
Okay, got it. Thank you. That's a very interesting profession these days.
Right. Right. I mean, it's the need of the hour. I mean, basically, I've started this way back in 2011, so it's been almost like close to 7.5 years now. So the thing is, we were the same, and when we started in our previous organization, we were the same. I mean, we were transforming from Waterfall to Agile. Initially, when I played a role of a Scrum Master, and then I worked as a transformational coach. When I'm saying a transformational coach, I was dealing with the pillar of almost close to 23 teams there. I was coaching them, seeing them where they're going wrong. Yes, initially it will be a tough phase, but yes, you need to have a right coach to say, okay, what is going right, what is going wrong. Otherwise, the people who are there in the roles presume that okay, they're doing right. Okay, as long as the things are getting done, okay, they think that whatever they're following is right. But yes, you need to have a helping hand. That is lagging in most of the organizations. They're not ready to spend for training. They're not ready to hire coaches. They're not ready to take some input even before starting this. Yes, but they wanted to jump into it. That's a different story. Right. Yes. Before going on to that topic, so I'll let you know what I cover in my training. The training will be for 14 to 16 hours.
14 to 16 hours?
Yes.
Okay. And you think that will be enough for me to, get through the PSM?
Yep, definitely.
Okay.
Yep. And I'll be there to assist you on the exam front. So it is like the PSM exam, the pass percentage is 85. So when you get 84, that doesn't mean that you do not have enough knowledge, but it is from the examination point of view, you did not pass. That is it, right? So I'll be there.
Exactly.
Yes, I'll be there to assist you, and I can give you 100% assurance on the PSM certificate, right? So don't worry about it. Don't, yeah, because most of the people, right? Okay, I have knowledge on this. Maybe I'm failing with one or two questions. That doesn't mean that I do not have knowledge. Even I agree with that. But your $150 is at stake for that exam, right? So
yes,
I say,
definitely.
don't worry, man. I'll just pat on the back and say, okay, I'll be there. You'll definitely pass. So
okay.
I give assurance on that.
Okay, that is good. That's good.
Yeah. And
so you will start this training as a brand new training, right? Because the previous trainer, I had only 1 hour session where she went through her style of teaching and what she will cover and so on. So you can start fresh.
You think we can start the session itself now, or do you wanted me to cover the introduction on what we are going to start? Or you're good to go?
No, maybe start with the introduction. I mean, everything, however you plan a brand new session, a brand new training session, so that we can get a feel of what is being covered in the upcoming few days.
Definitely. Right. So my first slide says being agile. When I'm saying being agile, what do you think being agile is?
Flexible.
Flexible. Okay. So I tend to ask more questions to the candidates here so that I feel more comfortable and let this be more interactive. This is not like a technical session where I speak everything and then you observe things, right?
Sure. Yeah, I perfectly agree.
Yeah. Most of the good things come from discussions, healthy
Yes.
discussions. So that's the reason
Yeah,
why I ask people. Right.
definitely.
So yeah. So there's the saying versus there's the saying doing agile versus being agile. Have you heard about it?
No.
Okay. There's something called as doing agile. Doing agile is nothing but you're working on Scrum. You're just implementing what Scrum says, or what Kanban says, or what Shape says. You're just doing what the framework says. But when it comes to being agile, it attaches the emotional quotient, right? So you
Mm-hmm.
need to have the trust, you need to have the collaboration between the team members, you need to respect each other. All this stuff comes. Okay, being agile is a mindset. It's more of a mindset for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to these classes, right, I mean, on the need basis, I'll be covering up on the XP. Have you heard about this XP Extreme Programming? There's another framework. The
Yes, I
link.
did, but I don't know much about it.
All right, no problem. I mean, most of the people are familiar with Scrum. Most of the people are familiar
Yes.
with Kanban. Most of the people are familiar with Safe now, at least,
Yeah.
right? So these are the common frameworks, but the traditional framework, the XP, most of the words, most of the practices, the engineering practices have been picked up from XP. So which is one of my favorite framework. But yes, so we'll be talking about all this stuff, and to cover the level one of the training or the course content, this is what I have. We'll be talking in brief about what is agile, what is agile mindset, and what are the challenges that you see in a traditional methodologies, and what are the myths and facts of agile as well. So this and the numbers on agile stats, maybe your 15 years experience, sometimes you don't believe on what people say, but some people believe in numbers, right? So I have the stats on why we need agile. I mean, why do organizations wanted to adapt agile? Right? When I take this program to a leadership, right, they only believe in numbers. Come on, man, show me some numbers. What is there, right?
Yeah.
All right, and yeah, we'll be talking about Agile Manifesto. Have you heard about Agile Manifesto previously?
No, I said actually majority of the theory I'm not aware of it. Maybe I have picked a few things here and there as part of the projects I
Got,
was interfacing. The
got it.
theory I'm not much.
No problem. I mean, when it comes to Agile Manifesto, I don't see most of the people do not concentrate on this, but this is where I concentrate on, because being an Agile coach, I say get the basics right and then do the things according to the basics, then everything will be right. Right. So I concentrate on the Agile Manifesto, what it says, the four values and 12 principles of Agile. And yes, as I told you, we'll be covering brief about the other frameworks like XP, Lean, Kanban, and Scrum. When it comes to Scrum, right, I deep dive into the Scrum. I mean, this 14 hours of training is more into Scrum. So we deep dive into what Scrum is, the definition, the use of Scrum. We'll be talking about the Scrum theory, the roles and responsibilities in details, the product owner role, how should the development team's roles, what are the roles and responsibilities of the development team, what are the roles and responsibilities of a Scrum Master, how should he set up a team, how should he or she facilitate the meetings, what kind of roles and responsibilities are there. And then we'll be talking about the events. When it comes to the events, people call this as ceremonies, but the better jargon to call it as events, because there's a book called Scrum Guide. Have you heard about it?
No.
Okay. The Scrum Guide, which was written by Jeff Sutherland and Ken Squaber, that's like a Bible of Scrum. I mean,
No,
that
I
is
think
where,
I heard about it.
yeah.
I did hear one of my friends forwarded that link to me, but I didn't read.
Okay. So it talks about the events. I mean, the Scrum Guide always says it's an event. Some people call it a ceremonies. If you have heard it on the floor,
Hmm.
right? So they,
I heard ceremonies. Yeah.
yeah, ceremonies is not the right word to use. I mean, people. I mean that I don't know where it has been picked up from. Way back in 2009 or seven, it is called as event. I don't know why people still call it as ceremonies. Okay. Yes. coming to the Scrum events, what is sprint? What do we do in sprint planning? How are the estimations done? How do we break down the user stories into tasks? What is the invest principle? All this stuff will discuss in the sprint planning and what to do in daily Scrum. Deep dive into the things. Uh, what do we do in the sprint reviews? Who are responsible for the sprint reviews? What is the role of a product owner there? And what is the role of a scrum master in the sprint retrospectives? How do we track items? And what are the different retrospective techniques that we need to adapt according to the sprints that have just gone by? All the stuff here in the sprint retrospectives. And when it comes to the artifacts, we talk about the three artifacts: the product backlog, sprint backlog, and product increment. So how should a product backlog be? What should we include? What are the characteristics of a product backlog, and how should a sprint backlog look like? Can we add items in between the sprints? There are many FAQs, so I'll be uncovering all those questions there. And yep, the other part is the metrics. I mean, till here, whatever you're seeing, the Scrum artifacts, the agreements, definition of done, this is part of your PSM program. I mean, when it comes to the PSM, it starts from the Scrum till this. This is the areas of focus that you need to focus on from Scrum till definition of done. But the other things which I'm going to cover as part of my training will help the people who wanted to take up a role of a scrum masters, like metrics, the burn downs, the burn ups, the lead times and cycle times, cumulative flow diagram. Because if you're more interested in looking at the project in a different way, yes, this will definitely help. And the estimations, most of the people go wrong here. Whenever you're transforming from a waterfall to agile, people do not know how to estimate things. They do not know the right concepts of relative sizing. Rather, they estimate in hours and do. So this is one area of focus which I thought would be helpful for the trainees who are attending this. So I've included this, and also some product backlog refinement techniques. What are the prioritization techniques to prioritize your product backlog? How should a good user story be? What does the invest principle say? What are spikes? How do you determine the epics and features? All this stuff here. So these are something apart from the PSM curriculum that I'm going to cover.
Sure. But these will help the person to take up a job as a Scrum Master, because they need to know all this in order to present those nice reports and also have good estimations. And also, refinement is also very important.
Right. I mean, so these are the things that I take care for level one. And when it comes to level two, right, people who are there playing a role of a Scrum Master but wanted to know more deep into what their retrospective techniques look like. So I'll give them some more information on what a sailboat technique is, what is, how to run a release retrospective, how to run these kind of retrospectives. I mean, these are some of the examples, but I have many. Like we can have a 20 retrospective techniques, and your scrum master has to be intelligent enough to figure out which retrospective techniques fits for that particular sprint, right?
That's
I mean,
right. Yeah.
he's the one who has seen how the sprint has gone by and then chooses the best retrospective that can give the maximum result. I mean, it's your intelligence there. And what is the anti-agile patterns? This is very, very, very important. I mean, when it comes to leadership roles, when it comes to a scrum master role, right? So people need to know what is agile patterns and what are anti-agile patterns. Are we doing it in the right way or not? People think yes, they're doing it in the right way, but actually not. Right? The estimations, the planning, the daily scrum. What are the anti-patterns in all of these things? We'll be discussing about that. And the scrum master challenges like setting up a team, the transformation, agile transformation. This is one big key challenge that people face, and the conflict management, that how we have to deal with the conflict management. This is more on a coaching perspective, right? When it comes to level two, more on a coaching perspective. So agile facilitation techniques, how do we do this, hardening of sprints. Have you heard about the sprint hardening and all, hardening sprints?
No.
Okay. So it is where people only carry out the testing rather than delivering the features. I'll be talking about these things as well, right?
Sure.
And level three is more about different frameworks. What is that in lean? So we wanted to talk about the 7 lean principles and 7 ways of a software development. If people wanted to learn more about this, and Kanban is Kanban is now very popular and people are using Kanban. and also mixing it with Scrum, and they call it as Scrum One now. So yes, I mean, people who are interested in knowing all this stuff, yes, I'll also be covering these things.
Yeah,
So
these are
this is
good. All these are good because
yeah.
I'm really looking forward to try for a job as a Scrum Master. So I
Mhm.
think this will be really helpful.
Okay. When I'm saying 14 to 16 hours, it'll only be this.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
But your overall training will include all the levels, right?
No. Overall training, in the sense, whatever we have planned and whatever I have discussed with these people, this is what I felt like, the PSM level 1 training. And yes, you wanted to go for a level 2 training, level 3 training, then yes, we can talk in that terms as
Okay.
well.
I
Don't
am
worry. But
interested
don't
for
worry.
level 2 and 3 also because that will help me giving. I can talk better in the interviews. I can present myself better with a lot of knowledge, more than
Uh-huh.
what they're looking for.
Okay. So what I'll do is, there's another program of mine where, yeah, I'll talk to you. I'll talk to you when we continue the training part on that. So what is that you're actually looking at, and what are the interview questions that you might face? I'll be covering all this stuff.
That'll be
Don't worry.
awesome.
Yeah. Okay. What do you think Agile is?
Um, Agile is, as I said, being flexible,
Uh-huh.
um, going lean, maybe, smaller chunks of work.
Mm-hmm. I
And
really like that word when you said being lean or something. Yeah. What
and
else?
manageable team.
Manageable team. Okay, I'll come there. What else?
Manageable mm,
So,
um,
think
frequent
why?
deliveries. Frequent
Yeah.
deliveries.
Yes, you're coming there. You're
You'll
coming there.
have that good what do you call delivery to market ratio, something,
Yeah, speed to
money to
market.
market, whatever it's called. Yeah,
Yeah.
that rate is
So,
high, and
yes,
um, to avoid expensive mistakes.
to avoid mistakes that will be expensive, that is delayed.
Exactly. Yeah, in several aspects, whether
Yeah.
it's production issues or you know in many aspects, hardware, software, whatever. Because
Good.
when people see deliveries, frequent deliveries, then they're motivated.
Yes. The more frequent the deliveries are, the more frequent you get the feedback, and the more
Right.
frequent you get feedback, you tend to make less
Yeah.
mistakes. When you're
Yeah.
making a mistakes, it is very short span of time that you can recover, and the risk is very
Right.
low. So
Right.
related to this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Good. So when I ask this question, what is agile? These are the answers that I get from most of the people. Okay, these are different perceptions. They think, okay, it is an incremental model, it is an iterative model. We do not have any documentation. That is the reason why we wanted to move into agile. I mean, perceptions. I'm not saying that people have not said
And
this, but
also less formal, more productive.
sorry.
It is less formal, more productive.
Yeah, it is less formal, more productive. Yes, I agree with that. I agree with that. And people say agile is a methodology. We wanted to move into agile to deliver things fast, as you said. I mean, the other thing is speed to market. Um, have anyone talked about the self-organizing teams? Yes, all these are right. So, did we talk about the self-organizing teams in agile? No. We'll be talking about what is self-organizing, and people like this because there's a no role called manager in Scrum.
Right. True.
Okay, that's for their liking, but not for the liking of people like you who have played a role of a manager. All right, and uh, this is like I have this line which is change your mind by changing your perception. I mean, these are different perceptions. Now we'll learn about what agile is. For me, agile is a mindset. When you say agile is a mindset, the next 5 minutes or 10 minutes will be like a philosophical class. But do get the content what I'm saying, right? Agile, when I'm saying agile is a mindset, you have to switch on and switch off, right? So It's all about in your mindset, how you take things. It is not just iterative and incremental. When you said your teams are transforming from waterfall to agile, are they just breaking down the requirements into shorter chunks and doing it?
Yeah.
If that is the case, then probably they are not agile.
Yes,
Then
definitely. So
yes,
yeah.
if they are breaking down the requirements into vertical, are they vertically slicing the features or horizontally slicing? When I'm saying horizontal slicing, the development in one sprint, the design in one sprint, development in one sprint, and then test and then deploy. This is not agile by
No, they are not doing like that. But
okay.
in one sprint, they will cover all the required work to be done in order to complete those specific user stories. So
Good.
it starts with the requirements,
Mm.
requirements analysis, then development, then testing, then deployment. All
Are they
happens in
deploying?
that. Two, sometimes they deploy immediately after the sprint, sometimes after 2 or 3 sprints.
Mm.
So not consistent.
Who takes the call of deploying that into the production?
It's the business who takes the call on deploying it to production, whether what has been accomplished as part of that sprint or 2 sprints is a good logical unit to be deployed.
Okay, good.
If there are any
That is
interdependent pieces across sprints, then we have the demos with the business after end of every sprint, and
okay.
then they all make a call together if it is worth deploying this piece of code, or should we just add on some more in the following sprint and then deploy. But I haven't seen too many projects where they are deploying after every sprint.
We have see, I've been running a project which is into CI/CD mode. That means
Hmm.
we are not even waiting for the sprint to get over. As soon as the feature is over, that we are deploying into production. So that's where
Right.
we are into the DevOps model as well now.
Hmm. Yeah.
I'm not saying that is not impossible. That is possible. That can be done, but over a period of time, maybe 6 months to 1 year is when you get that maturity.
Right.
Yeah.
So the more you can fragment the pieces and the more you can identify the dependencies and efficient grouping of user stories will help with sprint on sprint deployment.
Yep. So that's there. I mean, to start right, you have to know what agile is, and I
Right.
think yeah, I think you're not doing as bad as what I initially said. Okay, you're not being agile. You're still there. I mean,
Yeah, we are there, but in some form.
yeah, in some form. Maybe we'll discuss in deep like what can be included,
Yes.
what is the need of a project. Okay.
Yeah.
So when I'm saying this, when I'm saying agile is a mindset, I put my people first. I put my team first. That's all I believe. Okay, when you trust your people rather than your process, rather than your metrics, rather than your reports, I always put my people first, and then thoroughly you have to inspect and adapt. What is inspect and adapt? I'll be talking about inspect and adapt in a few minutes. Even before that, when I'm saying this is agile mindset, there are two things: the doing agile versus being agile. Doing agile is okay. When it says this is the left brain and the right brain, they say left brain is more of a logical task and right brain is more of an emotional quotient. So I'm not sure how is it divided, the brain part. I'm not well versed with that, but still people say that. Okay, the left brain is more of a logical task. When I mean to say that, the teams use one of the framework like XP, Scrum, Kanban, or Safe. They're just using the framework. They're just having your daily Scrum. They're just inspecting and adapting and precision. All these things are done. They're just doing agile. Believe me, when I took a role of a transformational course, when I went onto the floor and said, "Okay, what's going on?" We are doing agile. We are doing agile. I mean, this is the frequent answer when I said they're doing agile. Then I went to the leadership and said, okay, doing agile is okay, but when are they going to be agile? So when I said the being agile, the emotional quotient, the transparency, the collaboration, trust among the team members, trust among the dependency teams, how are they planning the work, respect for people, all these things, the openness, courage, commitment. There's some 5 values in Scrum which talks about this: the focus, openness, respect, courage, and everything. do you have a blend of these two things, then I say your team is being agile, and then you're doing the right things rather than just following what a framework says. Okay, have your sprint planning for first day, and then have your daily scrum, then retrospective. Yes, that is doing agile, but I mean the great teams try to achieve this, the being agile stuff.
Got
Okay,
it. This is good. This is good.
yeah. So the inspect and adapt. What is inspect and adapt according to you?
So my first take on that is it's more like not every project is the same project. I'm just putting a scenario of a project. Not every project is same, and the IT methodology, whatever we follow for project management, will suit every project. I mean, one strategy will not be able to. We cannot apply it for all projects. Depending on the project, we need to figure out what works best for the project and then adapt to it.
Good. So inspect and adapt is not just the feedback that you're getting from your end users and then adapting to the
Yeah,
feedback.
yeah, no, yeah.
It's also seeing what is working out for you, what are the
Yes.
changes you need to make with respect to people, with respect to process, with respect
Many
to tools.
factors. Yeah.
Yes. So the very good teams, the very great agile teams inspect and adapt on a daily basis. They see what is that better that we can do from yesterday till today.
Okay.
What is the better that I can do? So thoroughly you have to inspect and adapt. You take any good athletes, you take any
Yeah.
good cricket.
Yeah.
They know how to play a game, but they practice daily to see okay what is that they have to do better. Okay, so they get the input from their coaches. Okay, you have to play this ball like this. Okay, you have to do this. So they adapt to the situations and then play, right? So people who are easily adaptable are the ones who succeed more. Same is the
Right.
case that teams that can easily adapt to the situations and then play around with it are the most successful teams. So when it comes to the inspect and adapt, all the scrum events, when I'm saying scrum events, the sprint planning, the daily scrum, the retrospective, and the reviews are designed in such a way that it provides a formal opportunity for the team to inspect and adapt. Okay, the
Okay.
frameworks are designed in such a way that every day your team gets a formal opportunity to inspect and adapt. How you wanted to utilize those situations is based on the coach who's guiding the team. Okay, otherwise you'll just come to a stand up, you'll just come to a daily scrum sees okay what is done, what is not done, and then you'll go out from the meeting. So what is the best that a coach can you know fetch back from the team is most important. We'll be talking about all those stuff. Right?
Sure.
And yeah, this is a classic problem. Have you seen this slide anytime before?
Yes, I saw this.
So then it doesn't need an introduction on what this is. So what
Yeah.
do you think? What do you think is the reason for having all these different perceptions? Your project leader has a different perception. Your analyst has a different perception. Your developer has a different perception. And how many times have you seen this project was documented like this? When I was a fresher, I've seen this. I
Yes.
should come
Yeah.
because they said okay when I went to some manager and said I wanted to learn about this, it's there in the documentation. When I went to the documentation, it was only headings with 2.1.1 refer to this page 7. When I went to page 7, it is blank,
Yeah.
right? So it was like this. I'm not joking, but at least I could correlate to
Yeah.
one of the instances that you have seen in your career, right? So these are the things that we see as a classic problem. What do you think as a root cause for this?
Um, Clear communication.
Yes, good. You hit the nail on the head for the first thing itself. I mean, the communication gap.
Yeah.
When you do not have the communication, clear communication from the customer to the persons who are implementing, this is what it happens. Okay,
Right.
so you ask for a training for PSM and then Scrum, and I'm teaching something about Kanban and Safe. It doesn't sound good, right? So there's clear communication gap.
Yeah.
It is like that. The way we involve our end users, our customers throughout the project is more important than anything else. So how
Exactly.
often do you involve your customers in your projects? When I'm saying projects, how often are they interacting with the development team?
So from a waterfall point of view, I haven't seen too much interaction between the development team and business team because there is an active business analyst role who is kind of the liaison between the business and the development team. But when I'm looking at the recent agile methodology projects, the business is part and parcel of the project. They are attending the Scrum calls, whether it's the product backlog discussions, and also story grooming discussions, and also having the demos at smaller chunks. So I see a lot of active business participation recently than what it was in Waterfall, because the business was not in, because these kind of problems actually I've seen more in the Waterfall, because business does not realize until later in the game when what they asked was not same as what was built.
Exactly, exactly. So did you also say that your business is involving in a daily scrums and all?
Not exactly daily. Given their priorities, they were trying to attend, but the business was also supporting many projects. But they were trying as much as possible to stay connected.
My recommendation is the business should stay away from daily scrums.
Yeah, they were attending once in a while.
Yeah, I'll tell you why when we talk about the events who are mandatory for it and what are the adverse effects if someone is attending
Sure,
those. Okay, so
sure.
these are small things that you need to correct yourself. I mean, when I'm saying there's not a big chunk of things. Okay, whatever agile coach is completely transforming. There's small things that makes a lot of difference. So
Sure.
we'll just see what are the right way of things. Okay, so as you're pretty much experienced, right? I would not cover more. This is more for people who think, okay, what is waterfall? What is the agile way of doing? So in waterfall, when you wanted to develop a product, right? It's mostly for an year or more than that. I've seen at least the projects are there for 2 years and 3 years continuously,
Mm-hmm.
right? So in the traditional way, you'll have your requirement planning, analysis, design, your coding, test, and then deploy. How many times have you seen the testing team getting the requirements on time?
Very minimal. When you say on,
Right.
they'll get something, but not on time.
Not, yeah, I asked how many times do they get it on time? Right.
Very,
So they don't,
yeah,
most of the times, as you said, right, 9 out of 10 times, I have not seen this happening, the whole thing
yeah.
coming to testing on time. They say testing timeline is from September 1st to November 30th, but it will only come in the month of November 1st, and the testing timelines are shrink. That is the reason why we have a compromised quality products.
Yes, majority of the
Uh,
times.
yes, majority of the time. I'm not blaming the process here, but yes, I mean that's how we got used to, and there were some people, and if you ask the developers why did you delay it, they'll say okay, the design has not come up. If you ask the design, it's always blaming someone else rather than taking a responsibility as a whole,
Right.
right? That is a major concern in the traditional way. When it comes to the agile way of development, it is nothing but, as I said, I put my people first, and then you do this in iteration. This is nothing but you iterate. This is your first iteration. You wanted to develop a tricycle in the first increment. The output of your sprint is nothing but your product increment. Okay, we'll talk in that jargons. People say, what is a product increment? Product increment is nothing but what the output that has resulted from accomplishing the stories that you have picked up in the sprint is nothing but your product. All right.
Okay.
So you want to develop a tricycle here. On the first iteration, you have designed a wheel, you have designed a pedal, the seat. You get the feedback from a customer then and there itself. Okay, is the radius of the wheel right? Is the height of the seat right? I mean, is everything right? Once you get a feedback, then you go and build. You do your next iteration and build your product on top of what you've already built. It is not
Mm-hmm.
that you're building something that is not complementing your previous build, right?
Got it.
So second increment you implement on top of what you have already built. This is nothing but you incrementally develop your product. So agile is iterative and incremental. This is the iterative and incremental method. And throughout the agile projects, what you do is you inspect and adapt. The main
Got it.
difference is large groups spending long times building a huge thing here, whereas a small team spending a little time building small things, but integrating regularly to see the whole. This is important. Okay. So
Got it.
may I know, do you have the dependent teams working for the same product?
Uh, yes and no. Yeah, sometimes yes.
Okay. So we'll take one product where it has a dependent teams. How do they collaborate in the sprint planning? Do the release planning happen? So how do they pick the items from the product backlog? How are they organized? All this stuff is more important. So we'll learn about those things. When you have
Sure.
when you have a related or dependent teams that are working for the same product, right? So we'll see a lot of challenges. So what
Yeah.
are the challenges that you face, and how do you
So
minimize those?
just one question. So you mean the same team supporting different projects and different
No, no,
right?
no. That is
Okay.
that is the wrong
Or
way of doing agile.
okay. So here you're saying in order to accomplish a specific sprint or an user story, several teams will need to collaborate in order to accomplish that, right? Is that the question?
Yes, yes. So
Okay.
when I'm
Got
saying
it.
that, okay, I'll give you a simple example. So when you want to develop this HDFC net banking site, there you might have three different Scrum teams. One which takes care of the savings bank, one which takes care of the credit card, one which takes care of the home loan. There
I
are three
see.
different there are three different Scrum teams, but working for the same product called HDFC net banking. So
Okay, we
the
don't have that. I mean, I didn't come across that.
oh, okay, good. So that is a main challenge, and that's where people are talking about this framework called as SAFe. SAFe is scaled agile framework. When you wanted to scale it up to 20 different teams, 100 different teams, what is the framework that you're going to use? And
Okay.
there's another framework called LESS, if you have heard about it.
No.
And yeah, scaling Scrum is another framework. These are three frameworks that will rule in coming features. But yes, Scrum is a basic thing. But as you move forward, right? I mean, I'm sensing that the other three frameworks will gain more. What do you say? More people will look up to those frameworks more in the future. That's
Okay.
that's
So which means you're saying collaboration across
mm,
different Scrum teams who are working for the same product or same, domain.
yes, same
Okay.
product, same product.
Okay, same product. Okay. Got it.
Okay, so these are the challenges that you see in a waterfall model. How many times have you seen your fresher making a decision in a project?
Could you please repeat again? Sorry, I didn't get
How
it.
many times have you seen a freshers making a decision in a project?
A fresher?
Yeah, just a second, just a second. I need to
Sure.
attend. Yeah, yeah. So when I'm talking about the leadership, right, the challenges that you see in the waterfall model are the leadership. The project manager controls the project, and the team has a zero decision making. So these are the typical waterfall projects that you have seen, right, in your career when you started your career.
Right.
This is how it
Yeah.
used to be, right? Most of the times, the work is delegated from a project manager or a tech lead to the. I'm sorry about the background noise.
No, that's fine. No worries.
Yeah. So that are the challenges and the feedback. When do you receive the feedback in your project life cycle? It is very late,
Almost
right?
at the end. Yeah.
Almost at the end, because just a second. Yeah. So the high risk pops up due to communication gap. This is what we have seen in the previous slide. So when I'm saying the classic problem, okay, these are the risks that you see because there's a lot of communication gap and poor visibility. It is it is difficult to see the exact status of a project. How many times have you seen your Microsoft project plan stating how much work is being done, rather than showing what you have already done?
Yeah, yes, it
Yeah,
doesn't work in
yeah,
favor of the project.
yes, but I mean, sometimes you have to come out of the role of a PM and then talk, Vani. Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
The poor quality. Generally, quality takes a hit in traditional model due to time constraints. This is one thing that we were talking about, right? And the larger teams. When it comes to the larger teams, at least when I joined as a fresher, my team size was close to 35 or 36, and I only met them in the quarterly team outings, which is very bad.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Those guys have approached me. They said, "Okay, which project do you work?" I said, "The same project." Then we did not even meet them for a quarter because that's how the collaboration between the team members are happening. When you have a small teams, believe me, the collaboration, the coordination among team members is much more than compared to a larger teams, right?
Okay.
So late value delivery, customer cannot see the product until the end of a project. Until you deploy after 1 year, they'll not be able to see the product, right? And the major challenge is this: the big upfront planning. When I
Yeah.
think upfront planning, people plan for next 2 years or 3 years. You don't know the market conditions after 1 month. How can you plan for next 2 years? Yes, you might have a vision, that's fine. But you can't write user stories that you're going to execute after 1 or 2 years.
True.
That's yeah. So never do that. Never waste your time in the things which are very uncertain and there's a lot of ambiguity there, right? And
True.
the changes are not accepted easily in waterfall model. When I'm saying the changes are not accepted, how many times have we seen the CRs taking the main lead in the project? How many times have you seen the change request being charged? Like, what is the amount of charge that you do for the change request?
Yeah,
Believe me,
because it
believe
happens so much later in the game that it will be expensive to accommodate those.
yes,
Also, hard to meet the deadlines
yeah,
and
not
may
even
compromise on the quality because these changes we don't know what kind of impact it will have on other functionalities.
yep,
No thorough, not enough time. Yeah.
yep. So the other thing is most of the companies. I mean, it is not the right forum to discuss, but most of the companies have the strategies to freeze the requirements upfront, and then whatever changes are coming after those freeze dates are charged as CRs because your CRs are more costly than your project sometimes.
Yes, 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 yes.
I mean, that's a strategy which they do. I'm not commenting on any of those
No, no,
organizations as
but
such.
part of the
Yeah,
business.
part of the business. Yeah. So, but now, what someone is paying you some amount, and what if he wanted to change the requirements on what he is liking, and then you are charging it for that? So it is not liking. It is not liking for the customers anymore. So that is one thing. Changes are not accepted, and the customer involvement. Customer is only involved in the beginning and again during the UAT. This is what we see, right? Okay. I'll just show you a graph. I use this whiteboard more so that I get a feel of explaining that in a classroom. Okay.
Sure, sure.
So if this is your graph from low to high on the customer involvement, and this is with respect to time on x-axis, what do you think the graph will look like? How do you think
In,
initially? Yeah,
in the
initially.
beginning, it will be high,
Good. And then
and
slow.
then kinds of fades out, fades out, fades out, and then at the end, it will go up. It's more like a gradual U.
Very good. So this is the customer involvement graph that we see,
Yeah.
and what And what people do here is they assume things.
Yes.
Okay, and
Yeah.
people assume things here and then do. That is the reason why you have seen that classic problem of failure, because everyone had their own perceptions because they did not involve a customer. What if they would have involved the customer and asked, okay, this is the right way of doing, and they would have, everyone would have got a clarity, right? The customer is only involved in the beginning and again during the UAT. This is the common problem that we see in Waterfall. And cost of changes are very high because you have been a seasoned professional in understanding the cost of changes, why it is high. So I don't want to deep dive into these things, right? So
Sure.
these are the challenges. When people say, "Okay, boss, I want to migrate from Waterfall to Agile, will that solve all my problems?" I say no. Okay, these are myths, by the way. Whatever you're seeing on the left hand side of my screen are Agile myths. People think, okay, we have all these problems, we wanted to mitigate these things. Will Agile solve, will Agile solve every problem in this world? My answer is no. When you have team problems, when you have collaboration problems within the team, though you're working in a waterfall model or agile model, it doesn't matter. You'll still have that problem, right? So people think agile means no architecture and no documentation. Do you agree with this?
No.
So what is the right way? Do you think?
Uh, there is I mean, there is an architecture, there is some documentation, but
Hmm.
it is done in a meaningful way, in smaller chunks, so
Hmm.
that it is achievable, right? Say for example, in Waterfall, instead of spending months together just for the architecture and documenting the design, here
Hmm.
you are just splitting it up into pieces, trying to understand the prerequisites quickly, and coming up with a defined task list. So
Good. Good.
there is everything, but in a different format, a different fashion.
Yes, good. So the architecture, we are not going to design our whole architecture even before the project starts.
Yeah,
What we do is there's something called as architectural runway. Have you heard about this word called architectural runway?
yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
Yeah, architectural runway is nothing but what is forecasted for next 2 3 months. We build an architecture based on that. We don't build the
Right.
whole building right now. So
It's like a living document where you keep on adding as and when time goes on, and a little bit of predicting what's coming up next.
yes, that is it. That is it. I mean, you got the crux of it. Okay, people think agile is just an iterative and incremental model because, as I was saying, right, people used to think, okay, this is just an iterative model. This is just an incremental model. I can do my design in one sprint, development in one sprint, and then testing in one sprint. That's not agile for you, right? So
Yeah.
not just iterative and incremental model, and people think that it only works for small projects because people haven't seen the frameworks or people haven't adapted to the frameworks that the safe implementation plans or the other frameworks. They do not have the experience in dealing with the bigger projects. They say yes, it only works for small projects. Agile teams get more stress and early burnout. This is because your sprint immediately starts, and there's no gap in between the sprint. They think that it gets more stressed out. But however, you can plan your sprints in a different way. If it takes
Exactly.
a
And how
day,
you manage with the team also, right?
right,
I
right,
think you have to
right.
get frequent feedback from them and then
Mm,
tune the sprints accordingly.
yes. So agile requires very experienced people, not necessarily. I mean, people who have a good head on their shoulders are good enough to manage. It is not experienced people there. Right. Agile do not need a project manager. This is again a myth which is good for your liking. Okay. Agile does not support CMMI model. Yes, we do have. So how do you think that we are managing risk? Agile do not have a risk management. Agile model does not fit with scaling. I mean, this I talked about. We have different frameworks. It fits with scaling. But do you think do you have a risk management in Agile?
Um, yes, we do, depending on the user stories,
Mm-hmm.
right? Not everything will need a risk management, but some of the high complex user stories, yes, will need risk management.
Okay. So I would put it in this way. We manage the risk by inspecting and adapting on a daily basis.
That's a good one. That's a good
Yes.
one.
Yes. So because every day your product owner will be there and he will see the progress of what's going on with the product, and he's the one who makes a decision on what is the right product and what is not the right product, right? So that's how we involve the customers, we involve a product owner, we involve our business, and then we manage or mitigate the risk. We don't have a mitigation plan as such separately. The reasons for all these things is they do not understand the concepts, right? They have a wrong definition of concept, back use of concept. Because I'm not sure which organization you're working with, but take it any organization. Whenever I've interacted with people, right, when they wanted to migrate from Waterfall to Agile, they were not trained at all. The organizations are not even ready to spend for 2 days of training where they can get some good knowledge and then can start the projects. They just wanted the end results by not investing time in training and coaching. That's the bad part.
Right.
Okay, that is, as a result of that, you see the wrong definition of concepts being implemented, the bad use of concepts being implemented, and some small things they do not know. Okay, they think that it's right, but which is actually not right. Okay, so all these problems, I mean, we have this one reason, right, to blame a process. Blaming is pretty easy than doing anything else. You blame a process and say, okay, this does not work, Agile does not work, I mean, we'll go back to our traditional things and we'll do. For all these things, to summarize the reasons for having all these Agile myths is you're not being Agile.
Right.
Okay, this is how I summarize. And having said that, I need to rush to my work because we have taken this session late, already
Sure.
9:30.
Sure.
Um, I will continue the classes from tomorrow. And what is the feasible time for you, Vani? So how should I call you? Is it Vani?
Yeah, I'm Vani. You said it right.
Okay.
Um,
So what is the feasible time for
same
you?
same time as today will work perfect.
Mhm.
Unless is there any other time you prefer based on your work schedule?
Um, 9. Yeah, this should fine, but as long as we are
But
training.
sometimes if you're rushing for any meetings, I understand if you want to take the class a little earlier, like 30 minutes before, I mean around 8:30 or so, just send me an email and then I'll adjust my schedule accordingly. I am
Are you
pretty
are you on
flexible,
the West
so
Coast, by the way?
I'm in Central Time.
Oh, Central Time. Okay, that's fine. I'll. I mean, 8:30 should be okay. We will continue our class tomorrow at 8:30, and then after a couple of days, I have another session at 7:30 as well. So I can't club that because they're far ahead from the syllabus now. So what
So
I'll
then
do
why
is,
don't we keep it at 8:45 so that you will get a 15-minute break in between?
no. 8:45 will be too tough for me because I have to begin 9:45. My wife kicks me out to get ready fast. These are all the problems which I see. So I wanted to complete this by 9:30, 9:35 when I started at 8:30. When I'm saying 8:30, maybe 8:35 will get started. That's what I
Sure,
mean.
no problem. I just
All
want to
right.
make sure you get some break between classes.
Yeah, that's fine.
So, Ajay, I assume it will be a continuous session, right? Or I mean, do you give classes on weekends also, right?
Weekends, the training desk people will not be available on weekends. That's the problem. I mean, these guys are the organizers who facilitate the meetings. But yes,
Oh, they are the ones who open up this bridge line?
yes.
Oh, I see. Okay, I didn't know that.
So they don't work on the weekends. So that is a problem why we do not have the classes on weekends. Yes, the Saturdays and Sundays your time. So it will be,
Sorry.
I can take a class on a Saturday morning, which will be your Friday evening. So you'll not have your classes on Saturdays and Sundays your time.
Okay, got it. Okay,
Yeah,
that's fine. I'll spend those time or those 2 days to, revise previous lessons.
sure. I'll touch base with you tomorrow then.
Thank you, Ajay. This is really a good class and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you. I mean, you can convey the feedback to these guys as well, so that we'll have the same link to join from tomorrow. Just coordinate with them.
Definitely. Okay,
All
so
right.
tomorrow 8:30 or 9, whatever works for you.
Not 9,
Okay,
8:30.
8:30. Okay, perfect. That works.
Okay. 8:30
Thank you.
IST, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, good. Bye.
thanks.